everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Conversation. Today, we'll be talking about a topic that affects you and I as a parent, the child abuse. And we have a guest here who will be taking us through the subject matter. Blessing, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Blessing is a woman of God, an early childhood development specialist. She is also an executive director Africa at Magdala Cooper Foundation. And you're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Blessing, looking at the subject matter, I would like you to give us the definition of child abuse itself.
Okay, child abuse is anything that causes physical, emotional, psychological, and any other harm to the child. That
Oh,
can be termed broadly as child abuse.
oh, all right. Thank you very much for that. How can we identify child abuse when extended towards a child? I mean, at what point can we say this is child abuse? We parent, what we can do, the extent we can do to correcting a child. Sometimes we even neglect some things and we don't care about
Mm.
those things, right? But at a point, we are already abusing a child, and there are so many things that happen to a child also that we don't see this as abuse, right? So I just want you to tell us at what point do we act, and this action is called child abuse.
Yeah, usually when you inflict harm, you have the physical harm, which can be cutting and bruises. You have emotional harm, where the child experiences or puts up low self-esteem. You also have sexual harm, which you find sometimes the child is so bruised that the child can't really sit, or the child keeps away from certain adults.
Mm,
In a nutshell, yes, you look out for those things. Yeah, that's when you know that that child is suffering a form of abuse. But then you now
oh,
begin to find out which kind of abuse you have to identify.
mm. Oh, all right. I would also like you to elaborate more, especially, not well, all over the world, but especially in Nigeria. Many parents has experienced child abuse in one way or the other, and this has influenced them negatively. Can such parents, how can this such parents curb this, right? So as this situation, this their experience not to have effect over their children.
Okay, thank you so much. I For such parents, or let me talk to the parents first.
All
The
right.
such parent will need to take a pause and really acknowledge that
Mm,
what I am doing to my child, because our consciences are there to tell us that you are going way out. To tell, oh, I've abused my child. Okay.
mm,
I'm not looking at the sexual aspect of it because that will lead us to incest. But I'm looking
mm,
at it now purely from the physical aspect where we overbeat the child, we flog. Now that's where I'm looking at from, and the emotional side. So such a
mm,
parent should sit down, acknowledge that look, I have gone overboard, and
mm,
ask for help and ask
mm,
for help.
Okay, so would like you to just give us. I know we have a lot of child abuse. We have a lot of situations. Can you just give us situations where that we can refer to as child abuse? I know we have emotional, we have physical, we have sex,
Mm.
we have it in so many ways. But I just need you to expatiate more on those few of it, not all, but few, the most important of it.
Yeah. I think we'll look at the physical.
Okay.
For instance, you have people who have caregivers, little children who they take from other people and say, come
Mm,
stay in my house. And
mm,
you tell the parent that you send them to school. But when the children come to your place, instead of
mm,
doing what you said you would do, you begin to subject them to becoming house helps. And then you beat them. You make them do things your own children will not even do. Your children don't do the dishes at home. They do it, and on top of doing the dishes, you inflict physical harm if they neglect to do those things. So that is one instance. For parents who abuse their children verbally, I don't want to use those expressions because I can't bring myself to say them. They insult the child's head. They tell the child he or she will never amount to anything. They say terrible things to the children who they gave birth to biologically. And you find those children, they become aggressive or they become so withdrawn, they are
mm,
antisocial. Parents who do
mm,
that, like I say, I will advise you call yourself to order. Tell yourself you are going beyond what you should. Why would you use such words or phrases on your own child who you took out for 9 months of your life, and then you gave birth to that child? You were so excited when that child debuted here, looking very beautiful and innocent, and now that child has become a, what do they call that thing? I don't want to say it. The head isn't
mm,
good. So those are instances. Parents like that should curb it.
mm. Thank you very much. Okay, so I stumbled on a video recently. That child was asked, "What would you like to become?" He said he would like to become a killer. Who do you want to kill? He said he'd like to kill everybody in the whole world. Well, not in Nigeria. I think this happened in the US. Everyone in the whole world, and except his teacher. He said he's not going to kill his teacher. Now, looking at that scenario, looking at
Mm.
that story, what do you think? Where do you think the problem is from?
Um, I think, first and foremost, that child has been exposed to certain materials that child should not have seen. Or
Mm,
over a prolonged period of time, that child has been allowed to see certain things and see that pleasure is derived from it. And at the end
mm,
of the day, that child hates the people who allowed him or her to see. So, for instance, parents
mm,
who allow their children to watch violent movie scenes, you are abusing that child. Now, that you're abusing the child psychologically and emotionally, you're abusing that child. You're robbing that child of his innocence as a child.
mm,
And
mm,
so that child seeing those scenes and seeing that the pleasure derived, and seeing daddy and mommy clapping. Now
mm.
the child wants to carry out what he sees, but within
Yeah,
him, he knows if he does that, he will like hate himself for it. So he's in his mind, he's tabulated those he wants to eliminate, including his
exactly,
parents,
exactly,
because he
exactly.
hates them. He hates them. There are some parents, there was a situation I read, they forced the child to watch the violent movie, tied
Mm,
him to a chair in the US. And that child was crying and everything. When the child said he would like to kill them first, then kill
mm,
himself to end his
mm,
life. That child has been abused. He has been robbed of his innocence. He has been robbed
mm,
of everything that makes him a child.
mm,
And the
mm.
teacher he
You
said
know,
he will not kill is the teacher that has been
mm,
showing him love in the class. That's why he said he
mm,
won't touch the teacher.
I like the part where you said that child has been robbed of his innocence. That means these kids, they there are so many things they even do that they are not even aware of, right? So God has made
Mm.
us parents to actually correct them. And most parents has failed to do this. They just feel putting a child in front of a TV is the best solution to avoid trouble, not knowing that they are
Mm.
using their hands to bring more trouble into their lives and into their home. This boy
Exactly.
actually said that he got this from the games he watched. That there was a game he watched, that was where he picked it from. So we parents should actually we can actually do better by monitoring what our children watch at every point in time. We shouldn't be too busy. We shouldn't be too busy.
Correct.
Okay. Lastly, a child that is being abused. How can we help such child erase the experience? It's huge psychologically,
Wow.
emotionally. How can we help such
Yeah.
child erase the experience?
It's going to take a lifetime to do that. It's going to take a lifetime because, we are adults now. We were children once. If you remember certain things that happened to you, they still
Mm,
play before you in your mind. You
mm,
remember. It will take a whole lifetime process. It will take God also to come into the life of that child, to gradually erase that and fill that child with love and
mm,
acceptance that this thing happened to me in whichever form. And it doesn't mean that God doesn't love me or I'm a bad person. It just
mm,
happened to me. And God still
mm,
has a purpose for me to take that love from God, that understanding, and also from us around who would walk in love toward that child to make that child realize that there's still, you are a gift to the world, you're a gift to your parents, you're a gift to your generation. We love you and we want you here. You're not a bad person. So that's my
mm.
submission.
Wow, this is this is really good to hear. Okay, so in conclusion, what would be your advice to parents out there? Because we are all guilty. So what would be your advice to us?
So my advice, we need God first to help us.
Mm,
Acknowledge that you're doing something that is wrong.
mm,
Then you
that's
need
right.
help. Go to God. Yeah, go to God first before you go to the worldly counselors out there, and even before you go to your pastor or to a pastor. Make sure you are connecting with the right people. You're going to a pastor who loves God, who is true with God. So
Mm,
your issue doesn't get complicated along the line. And your story
mm,
told out there as if you are, so you need to come to terms with yourself that this is, you need help. You need to ask God for help and to forgive you also for the people you've harmed, those kids you harmed. Then you need to
mm,
go for counseling, either to a
mm,
pastor who truly loves God before you go to the world psychologists or counselors because they have their own bedrock from which they come. So I
mm.
leave that there. Maybe for another day we'll talk more.
All right. Thank you so much for this. So viewers, I will end with this note. Let's stop abusing our kids. Let's show them love. Let's be sensitive to their emotion. Let's pray for them. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and see you next time.